Okay, welcome back. This is part 2. This is the installation of a screen on a HP Pavillion dv7 laptop. And I showed you in the last part that you have to remove this connector. So all I've done is plug it into the new screen and then taken the tape from the old one and put it across. You can also just use another form of tape. When you take this apart, you'll see that there's a metal frame inside of it, and the metal frame has two different settings. So you can take this frame and move it in or move it out. And so on the right side, it's pushed all the way out. On the left side, it's pushed in one. And I did that intentionally to show you that depending on what size screen you have, I don't know if the HD one is any larger or smaller, but if you had an HD and you broke it and you just want a spring for the standard definition, you might have to move these. So I'm going to go ahead and take this one and move it over. This is a step that probably most of you are not going to have to do if you're just switching out with the exact same screen that you originally had. But I'll go ahead and move this over so that the screen will fit. Okay, that should be good. And so it's connected here. And then when you put it in, you just want to be careful not to crush this little very delicate connector down here. And just make sure that it doesn't get pinched in any way. And then you just put the screen in the metal bracket. Ooh. Easier said than done. Okay, there we go. So now the screen is in the bracket, and now you should just have to replace the side screws, which are very small. They're the smallest screws that you should have to remove. And again, I'm using a 0 Phillips for this. And so I had, I think, 3 in each side, and they were held in with Loctite. If you're worried about them coming out, possibly you can use, it looks like they used blue Loctite to keep these in. I'm actually going to skip that and just not worry about it, because I don't think they'll come out. There is a wire running up and down the side, so you might have to kind of push it back with your nail or like a screwdriver or something. I think that's the wire that goes to the camera on the front. But just be careful and, work around it and try not to get it caught by this head of the screw when you're doing your work. Oh, hang on. And again, I am going to use 3 on each side, but you may have something slightly different. Okay, move around. Oh, bump the camera. And so the screws are going to go through the metal bracket that runs up the side of the lid and then into the screen, so that's going to hold it in place. And while you're doing this, and while you've got all this disassembled, you might want to take a second and make sure that this little connector, oh, I'm sorry, it's right there, little connector is pushed all the way in, because this particular model has a problem where when you open and close the lid, it tends to pull this out and you'll lose your front camera. So you can't do Skype or whatever. But maybe you also can't get spied on, I don't know. Maybe it's a good thing. If you get the gist of this, you of course can fast forward, or you could have fast forwarded long ago. Oh shoot. These tiny little screws are pretty irritating. Okay, oh. Okay, there we go. So now, this should be the final step, which is to take the plastic that you removed earlier. Well, first, I guess remove the protective plastic on this. There we go, brand new, nice screen. And then take this, the plastic border, and you're going to want to line it up at the bottom here where it hooks in with the joint, or the hinge, I guess. And just make sure that it sinks down in there. And then you're going to want to get it lined up at the top and the sides and everything. And it should just basically snap into place if it's aligned correctly. There we go. It's a little finicky, but if you play with it for a minute, you can get it to snap into place. It might be a two-handed process. And just make sure that all the plastic snaps in all the way all the way around. And then lastly, you have these two screws, which are a little bit larger than the screws used to put in the side of the screen. And you're going to take those, and again, you can use Loctite if you want, but you don't have to. And I'm going to go ahead and screw these in. Snug, but not too tight. Okay. You can crack the plastic if you screw them in too hard, so be careful. All right. And then lastly, you just have the two little rubber inserts, which I seem to have misplaced. But there are two little rubber inserts that cover up these two screws, and just make sure that all the way around you're snapped in. And then you should be good to go. It should be a new screen, and boot it up, give it a shot, and make sure it works. All right, thanks a lot.